Hey guys, Penwynn here. Welcome back to my Go tutorial series, Road to 1 Dawn. The past two episodes, I went over two games, one as black, one as white, where I played as an 18k against an 18k on the TY Gem server. And the focus of these two videos was pretty much board judgment. And I'm just going to do one more recap video to cover board judgment in detail. Because I really want to emphasize this subject. It's just so critically important. So here we go. Steps to victory. This is what you want to do every single time before you play a move. Number one, you want to defend against your immediate threats. If you don't have any immediate threats, go ahead and play an immediate threat against an opponent if they're available. Right? You got to make sure that they're critical threats, right? The order of operations here is very important. Number three, you want to defend against any medium threats, right? So if you can't win immediately, then you start, setting yourself up to win, right? So you want to defend so that your groups can't get harassed and you lose momentum. Number four, if you don't have any threats and your groups are super strong because you play real solid and you're a boss, then you can go ahead and play medium threats against your opponent, right? Take that momentum because this is your profit for playing solid. And then number five, if neither player has any threats, you guys just play the most efficient move, right? Find the biggest area on the board, find contested areas, start playing there, okay? So what's an immediate threat? I would say an immediate threat is something that can kill you in one turn. Okay, this is not your group falls under attack and it becomes uncomfortable. You can deal with it. You can live small. No, this is you die in one turn. Okay? Number two, a potential move that can remove your win conditions. Or number three, if you see that an opponent has a win condition. Alright, well, what's a win condition? I'm trying to define a win condition, and I consider it a board position where there's a certain path to victory for either player. What does that mean? For example, if one player or another player is able to get an insurmountable point lead from territory or a moyo, if you're the player that's going to get this gigantic point lead, then that's your win condition, right? If your opponent has a huge area and he's about to get a moyo that you can't deal with, or he's about to get a huge area where you cannot invade and there's nowhere left on the board for you to make points up to contest his point lead, that's his win condition, right? It's a clear path to victory where you pretty much can't do anything once he gets this, right? Another one is an unrecoverable kill. I mean, I guess it kind of goes hand in hand with having too many points. If you get a gigantic kill and it solidifies your lead, it makes you so strong they can't invade you back, you have nowhere left on the board, you get that kill and game's over, that's an unrecoverable kill. Or if you and your opponent have, two dragons running across the board fighting each other, and whoever wins this fight wins the game, that would be a win condition, right? If you win the fight and you kill them, you win. Like I would say that these types of like extreme situations where you straight up win the game, if you get a certain result, that's a win condition. Okay. And then third, I'd say win condition is a forced trade where it's a lose-lose situation, right? If you have two enemy weak groups and you're literally just chasing both of them across the board, one of them's going to die. And if you kill either one, you win the game. I would consider that the situation leading up to having two weak groups is actually your win condition, right? Or it could be you start fighting. If they decide to save their group, you get a gigantic territory. Or if they choose to invade your gigantic territory, you get a gigantic kill. And either way, they lose. That's also a win condition, right? A forced trade, a gigantic kill, or a gigantic point lead. 3 ways to win the game. Okay. So direct threats. How do you determine what's a direct threat? You can see a direct threat if the opponent plays something in close proximity to your stones. It may be a contact move, or it may be like, you know, one space away, or something very close to your stones where you feel like they've removed a base, or they're chasing you in a particular direction. That's generally a direct threat. And I kind of want to mention here that it's kind of the foundation of Joseki. Direct threats, like you play contact move on top of contact move, and the whole string of sequences is kind of forced, right? Because it's just attack defense for both sides. Shape weaknesses. You or your opponent can play moves that directly threaten to cut something. It may not cut something, but if it's pointing at a weak group or pointing at a weak shape, I would consider it a direct threat if it actually can negatively impact the area. Right? Generally, if you poke at a weak shape, it's easily answerable, but if they don't respond to it, it's a gigantic kill. So, yeah. And then potential threats by eye removal or sealing in dragons. Well, I think this is kind of obvious, right? If you're about to die, I wanted to put it here under direct threats because sometimes it's very easy to get caught up in another fight and not realize a dragon or a small group has been actually sealed off because you're focused on something else. The reason why I state this here, even though it's super obvious, is I want to really call this out. Every single move, you're looking for direct threats. The fight across the board can negatively or positively impact something in another place in the board. Okay, so we covered immediate threats, we covered win conditions, potential threats. Moves that can force you into a defensive position. So this is just, it's very similar to the immediate threats, but it's really a question of severity, right? The immediate threats are literally moves that will kill you or mess you up in one turn. These kind of give the opponent or you momentum in one direction or another. It's not game ending, but you definitely feel annoyed when people play threats against you, or you feel pretty good when you play threats against your opponent, right? Like, you know, you get sente and you just hold the momentum and just kind of push them around. So moves that remove your ability to make points or their ability to make points. So, you know, maybe you have a point lead or they have a point lead and you're trying to rush through the end game, so you play like a really fast aggressive moyo, not expecting to take the moyo, but knowing that when they start fighting in there, they're going to get 5 points here, 5 points there, and then you're going to get about 5 points here, 5 points there, and you literally just kind of close the game out because you have a 10-point lead. And then moves that force you to fight in order to gain your position. So this is, again, you know, people can attack your group and push you around and build walls by attacking your group. Sometimes it's better just to spend that one gote move to fix yourself and then deal with whatever happens, right? You're strong, they're still weak, you have opportunities. Just have the discipline to wait, you know? Set yourself up well. Maybe they get sente, that's fine. You gotta read a little bit to get sente back, but at least now you're strong and you have the opportunity to get sente back because of your strength, right? It's a lot of discipline. Alright, and again, just want to mention that it's pretty similar to the immediate threats, it's just a matter of severity. And then thirdly, if there are no threats on the board, both sides are really solid, you know, no major moyos and stuff to have to deal with, then you can start looking for your efficient moves, okay? You can try contesting the board. You want to look for areas that are really contested. I think we mentioned earlier, right, the widest distance between two stones in the beginning of the game, you can kind of consider that the biggest area, right? So you can start trying to map out moyos and just take moves from your opponent. Multi-purpose moves. Maybe you can find a move that grows your area, reduces their area, preps to build a big moyo, attack and defends, you know, or sets up a potential attack while building your own area. Like, you want to try to do as many things as possible with your moves, because Go is a game about resources and efficiency, right? And then you want to maintain the initiative. So, like, sometimes, you know, there may be small moves, but they are sente. and you basically get to play or get a series of moves that gain you 1 point, 2 points, 3 points here and there. But if your opponent has to answer them, maybe they're worth playing. You know? It's just up to you guys to look for those types of moves. Number 4, we can build moyos, right? And you can make an assumption when you build a moyo that you're going to get roughly a third of the points, maybe half to a third of the points of a moyo. That's how I kind of ballpark it. I kind of look at my points and then look at their points, and then if I build a moyo, I can say, you know what, probably keep half of it, so I'll give myself maybe a third of my moyo space as a lead. And then, again, only play these moves because they're kind of more passive if you don't have threats on the board. Alright, I'm going to actually open a few games as examples. I have a few games here, actually. So the first game is going to be me as an 11K. I think we've had enough of seeing me play an 18Q game, so I'm just going to do 4 games, actually. I'm going to do an 11K game, a 2-dan game, and then maybe I'll go through 1 or 2 pro games. I'll probably stop once the opening and early middle game starts, because I kind of want to go through all of them, and it gets kind of messy in the middle game and less theoretical. I just wanted to cover the topic of board judgment. I'm Penwynn. I'm Penwynn, 11K black, and I'm against GSP 8458 as white. So we play standard opening. Again, large top right. Largest area in the board is either the right side or the top side because of the spaces. Right? Want to look at that. Look at that. Versus this one and this one, right? The distance between this one, this one, and this one is star to star. Star to star. Okay, but top side and right side are star +1 and star +1. So we mentioned these two are the biggest sides, and then I'm contesting, so I'm doing multiple things at the same time, right? No weak groups, so I don't have to deal with attacking, so I'm just looking for the biggest move. The biggest area plus contesting the opponent's biggest area. That's how you know that it's the most beneficial. Okay? So he wants the pincer. Right now, I've got a weak group now. He played a direct threat. Right? He played a direct threat. I have to figure out how to answer. That one black group has multiple things he can do. He can live in the corner, jump in, and sacrifice himself. He can jump out and try to build a wall. In this case, I don't really have too much around to be able to benefit from having a wall here yet. I can counter pincer, try to set up so the wall is worth something, or I can just try to live with this stone, right? In this case, I decided to counter pincer, make life a little bit hard for this stone, and take points here, and indirectly defending this stone over here. Does that make sense? You have a lot of options you can do here. I think the opening game is pretty free, as long as you are going through the steps and trying to find why you're doing things. We'll go into how to find the right moves later and what the move should be, but for now, it's you're looking at the why, right? Why do you play moves in a certain area? What is it that you're trying to accomplish? And we're gonna ignore how for now, because I think that's more detailed, and you kind of need to understand high level before you go and dive into technical details. White decides to leave this area alone because black is actually not as weak as you would think. Like I said, black has a lot of options, and if you have 3, I'd say 3 options: connecting out, running out, living in the corner, or just living. Black has 4 options actually. If you have 3 options, you're technically not really weak. So white is actually saying, I don't know what to do in this area, so I'm going to deal with the corner. I don't know if that's a good move. I think if it were me, I would still be responding to this area because you have an advantage and you have to push it, but whatever. I'm not going to leave any weaknesses here. So I played the most solid possible move, take my corner, take away his base potential, and prep to start attacking this white group as well. So now I'm set up to start attacking two different groups, right? Well, at least that's what my aim is. All right, black goes back. Of course, I fix it because he does an immediate threat contact move. White makes himself stronger here. I don't know if this is the right play, but he does that, so of course I defend. This is a really efficient move, because by defending, I actually weaken both white groups. This goes into strength theory. I will go into strength theory in a later video. I actually don't know if strength theory is a thing or not, but I kind of have a general idea of how strength flows between stones and between groups. So we'll get into that. But long story short, it's basically as one group gets stronger, the groups around it gets weaker. And then the groups on the other side of the enemy groups indirectly get stronger. Right? Kind of like how earlier, when he did a pincer, I played on the other side of his group in order to strengthen the group over here. Even though it's a little bit far, strength will kind of go strong, weak, weak. Right? And then if they defend, it goes strong, weaker, stronger, weaker. So, for example, white's going to defend. He chooses to defend the corner side. He strengthens his group, which directly weakens my group, which indirectly strengthens his white group, which indirectly weakens my group. And strength kind of flows back and forth like that. If you strengthen the group in the middle, it kind of radiates out from that area, right? So that's how I kind of look at strength. So I saw that this group got weakened, this group got strengthened a little bit. So I'm gonna weaken this group again in order to strengthen this group, right? And also fix any potential weaknesses on top. So he sees this, he defends, I fix it, stay strong. This shape is now real strong. This is strengthening this group quite a bit. This guy's gotta run out. Okay. So I don't have a good answer for attacking this group right now because he's actually out now. So this group is a bit weaker, and I still want to attack this group. And this group is really strong, so I'm probably going to fix this group by attacking the stronger group. And by strengthening this one, I indirectly attack this one. Yep. So fix. So he doesn't know how to fix this area either. So he's strengthening this group, which indirectly, if you look at it, he strengthens this, weakens this one a little bit because now he can, like, you know, cap black in, and weakens this area a little bit. He's got potential to jump in, and then he gives this guy a direction to run to. So pretty good move. So I can't allow him to get strong here, right? I gotta keep him weak in order to keep both groups weak. So I pincer him here. He jumps in and makes another weak group. I think this is where his mistake is. Because now all of black's moves are ultra efficient, right? Because anywhere black plays between this area, and this area will weaken all three groups at the same time. This is like ultra efficiency. So black, actually right now, I don't even have my eyes on a kill yet. I am just literally attacking all three groups and defending at the same time using the most solid possible shapes I can play. I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm just doing really, really solid moves right now. Okay. So of course he has to defend. I defend. He runs out. This group looks like it's a little bit tight. Again, every time I play a move, I strengthen everything around it and weaken everything around it. You see that? So white comes out to cut. I defend this group and weaken everything here. Now, just so you can see it, this is now a critical threat, right? So let's go back over the course of this fight. I'm gonna do red for black's weaknesses. Black weakness. That's pretty much it, right? White's weakness, he's got this, this group. Okay. So, starting here, white's got a lot of weaknesses. I'm gonna go forward a move. Okay, so we same, nothing's changed there. Again, let's take a look at the weaknesses, right? Now it's still weak. And I would say, you know what, I'm gonna give this one, this area, slight weakness as well, right? White's got this and this now, right? So by strengthening here, weakness has, white strengthened this, made this a little bit stronger, and indirectly, possibly this a little bit stronger later. It's a little bit far now, but eventually it will bleed over there. Like 2 moves ahead. Weaknesses again. So white's got this to deal with again, this to deal with, this to deal with, and black's got this to deal with, and this to deal with. Okay. So of course, black's gotta deal with this area, and black defends. You know what? I'll go back this move just to show you how the ebb and flow is, right? And then once again, you look at the group again. It's weak group. Black hasn't changed much. White's a bit better here, a bit better here, and same here. Right? Every step you're looking at weak groups. You see that? I had a weak group, a family. I felt like I was strong enough here, so I'm attacking this group, strengthening this group. Do you see that? So now we go back, and then it's changed again. But this time it looks a little bit better for black, right? So I'm gonna go yellow, white's weak group. Yellow's white's weak area, white's weak area, white's weak area, and then black. But this time, this area looks a lot safer. That makes sense? And this area is starting to look like it's getting close to being a severe threat. Okay. Just want to skip ahead a little bit because, you know, again, weak group, or weak area, potential threat, weak group, weak group. Then for black, suddenly, not so weak here anymore. This area, not that weak. Possibly some here. And you look at it, and black is slowly reducing his weaknesses, whereas white still has a ton of weaknesses to deal with. I'm gonna go ahead 2 more moves. Look at this. This is getting real bad, right? Weak group, weak group, weak group, weak group. And then red for black. I'm not even consider this one a weak group. Well, I'll give it. If you look at it, black is so much stronger than white. White's got all these weaknesses here. Black doesn't really care too much about this one because it's not an immediate threat. In fact, I was wrong. Maybe I should do it like this. This is much clearer. And for black's weaknesses, I think that's actually much more accurate. right? White's got so many weaknesses. Black, because he fixed so much, he's not weak anywhere. Like, maybe this can be really annoying, but maybe like white can try to cap black and counterattack, but it's real hard when white has so many weak groups. So white jumps out, and then do yellow again for white's weaknesses. White's weak, white's weak, white's weak, and black actually has a severe weakness here. Right, so black has to respond here. Does that make sense? I mean, it's so clear, right? White jumps out, attacks black hard, black's got to respond. Now it blows again. Critical. Weaknesses. But this time, it's white's turn to be real scared. Because now this one is a critical weakness. If black plays one move, it dies. Actually, now that I look at it, this one, if black caps it here, I think it also dies. So white now has two groups that are in imminent danger. And then white gets killed. This group is still in danger. This group is still in danger. This group is still in danger. White is dead here. Black is so strong here. And I guess you could say black's group over here is a little bit weaker now. But no, I wouldn't even say that. Black's kind of surrounded, but he's got directions to run, and because this group is so strong, it's still indirectly strengthening this area. So this is how direction and strength works. You just keep fixing, strengthening, and then you eventually kill things. Okay, I'm gonna stop here for this game. Okay, so this is a game I played as a 2-dan. I'm actually black, not white. I mislabeled this game because I had to transcribe it from dwht, but yeah, we'll just play through. White immediately jumps in, so I'm gonna respond. I don't want to give him this corner because this corner is so big, and black's corner is pretty much strong, so there's no weak groups. He jumps in. It's a immediate. Then we settle. Now, so white's got two floating groups here. Two floating groups here. I'm not too sure how to respond to it, so I kind of want to strengthen myself in the middle because I feel like anything he plays around here will be able to help the other group, right? So I really don't want him to approach my corner right now, so I just play in the corner and prep whatever direction he wants to come in. He comes from the top side, which is good. Black wants to go in this side because he kind of has two areas he has to play, right? Because of that, I fixed this area. These 3 stones were fine until white settled. I didn't want to deal with having a strong group kind of leaning up against my weaker group, so I just made sure my group was really strong too, just to keep the strength kind of equal. Same thing down here. White plays an extension to settle this group. Now because he played this this tiger mouth thingy, I do have some weaknesses to play around here, so I'm not as urgently pressured to settle this group. I do still want to play here, so I want to play in such a way that this move does more than just settle. So the last big concern on the board is the bottom side, right? And the corner. So I want to force him to build a wall. If he builds a wall this way, right? If he builds a wall, we'll use green. If he builds a wall this way and he kind of wants to build in this direction, I already have a stone here. You know? I already have a stone here, which naturally limits his wall, so this move becomes really efficient. This black move becomes really efficient because I'm already negating his wall. Okay. However, However, if he wants to build a wall, say this way, if he wants to build a wall this way, and sorry, I'm bad at this tool. He wants to build a wall this way and start taking points here. Well, black wanted to play here first anyway. So as white builds a wall here, then black goes here to defend. He does a really efficient move and negates the wall from this direction. So I felt like playing the corner now would be really good, because if he plays top, I'm already done messing with his wall. If he plays to the left, then I can actually play a defensive move that kind of is also an offensive move. So pretty efficient. Oops. So I invade, he blocks me in, I live in the corner in Sente, and then I play my corner move. Fix my corner shape, because he did this whole thing here to mess with it. I'm reducing his wall area, so he can't make too many points or build too big an area with this. I'm pretty happy. Yeah, he just extends in one direction because he has to start doing something with his wall. And for me, I have one big area left that I'm interested in, which is the top side. So I can help fix my my weakness in the corner, right? As the three space night jump here always leaves the weakness here, right? So I kind of want to settle, get stones around here, and also limit his ability to attack me and build points at the same time. So for me, my interest is on top now because everything else is really strong, right? No weak groups left, except for the top area. Now I have a potential threat here. So he fixes and starts pressuring my corner again while living here. It's a good move. So I fix. White, of course, sees this and says that's too many points because black now has a win condition. So white has to answer, of course, and white makes a weak group. So I attack it. Pretty natural, right? All natural things. Here, I think I make a mistake. I play this move, and I don't think I should have done that because now white can just live. I should have just fought on the outside and left that for later, or maybe destroy his eye or something. But, oh well. Everyone makes mistakes. Yeah, that was real bad because I didn't have enough time to complete this outside move. So I attack his top weakness. He flounders around. Offer up a trade. He lives inside. I live outside. I think I'm gonna stop here, but as you can see, the flow of the game doesn't change too much from an 18K to a 2-dot game. You know, like some of the moves can be a little bit more funky looking, and white plays better direction. White fights a bit better than an 18K, or was that a 7? Sorry, an 11K. But the ideas and the concepts behind the moves are all pretty much the same. It's not like we're playing a different game all of a sudden because it's a different rank, you know? So I'm going to move on to a pro game. This game, I just kind of grabbed it randomly. It's a white is Youngoo 9 Pro, and black is Kang Seung 7 Pro. Right? And let's see how this game goes. I think they're Korean, so they're my stereotype for Korean pros is that they are all hyper aggressive. So let's take a look, shall we? Very standard. Plays the big side, of course. White defends. Black defends and starts to build a large wall. Or a large box. I think very standard in the opening. White invades, doesn't want to give black the point lead and the wall. And white also knows that this area is still quite open, so there's a lot of space for him to jump in and break up the wall later. They play corner Joseki. Black doesn't push white down. And black is more concerned about building his own territory. So white's like, well, you know, you left a weakness here, and I have a weakness here, so I am actually going to defend my own weakness. Right? Only one weak area left on the board. Does that look clear to you now? Like, there's a weakness here for white. Kind of a weakness here for white. And I guess a weakness here for white. But not really weaknesses. Whereas black's got maybe this area, and possibly this stone. So we're defending, right? Doesn't look too complicated. Black, it's like, wow, actually, your pace is even faster than mine, so black goes in and says, I have to break up your area because your area is getting too big, even though you're white. And now that you've got a point lead on top of a big area, I can't let this happen. So black comes in, white pincers, black runs out. Similar situation to the last game I just reviewed, right? You have white's got weaknesses here, potential weakness here, potential weakness here. Black's got a weak group here, potential weak group here, potentially a weak group here. So white's gonna defend and try to fix all of these and attack them all at the same time. Right? So of course he plays the corner. So black's got a weak group, and he's gonna come out and fix. Right? So now let's take a look at the weaknesses again. Yellow. Black's weaknesses. Black's weaknesses. We'll do that. And I'm gonna do one more. You look at it, black is trying to outbuild the center from white. Can you see that? Like, black is playing a lot of inside moves on the other side of the fight, and his strategy is starting to become kind of clear. The weaknesses in white's area are annoying, but they're not critical, right? The main one I can see is the C8 group here that looks like it's in severe attack mode, but since it's only one stone, white can actually sacrifice it to fix his weaknesses from here and here. So he's not too worried, and it also has a lot of play because there's black and himself is also weak all around it. So white probably didn't want to deal with such a small group right now. So this is a little bit more complicated, more advanced. But white is more concerned about black's win condition. Do you see how it kind of snuck up out of nowhere that there's actually a potential black win condition out of the blue? It was only a bunch of moves over here in the bottom left side of the map, and then white's like, oh my god, you started building up a win condition, so I have to stop it. Isn't that like interesting? So white jumps in to stop the win condition because this is actually more critical than the bottom left side. Isn't that cool? So of course they fight it out over here. And then black goes back and says, everything's fixed over here. Black goes back and attacks that one weak group that we said earlier. Right? I'm just gonna trace it out again. So now White's weaknesses, this one, this one, this one. No more gigantic Moyo, right? And now you got this weakness and potentially this one and this one. So black's like, well, you left me a weakness here and you left a weak group here. You messed up my game plan to win. Now this doesn't look very intimidating anymore, right? Now I'm going to go back and address this area down here. Boom. Black fixes. Right? White addressed a game-winning threat. Sorry. White went and addressed a win condition for black. Broke up his Moyo. And then black went back and attacked the weakness and fixed his own weaknesses here. So, white's like, okay, now the board looks different again, right? Potential weakness here, potential weakness here. This group still has some potential weakness, but at the same time, black got some weakness here, got weaknesses here. And now this is also a little bit weak as well. So what is white doing? He's attacking here to utilize the strength that he built up here earlier to keep these groups weak. Now black's got two weak groups. Isn't that cool? So this whole side earlier was black's potential win condition. Now white came in and chopped it all up. He gave up a big corner, but the corner is not a win condition. White, on the other hand, is trying to force a trade. I mean, the groups are going to be running in like this type of direction, right? So something here looks like it's going to die. Isn't that awesome? So black attaches to fix his group and attack the attack the white, and white says, you know what? This letting black out isn't as critical, so I'm going to defend my weak group first. You see that? Defense before attack. White is actually very defensive in this game. And then he goes, well, you know, I had play on this group, so I'm going to force you to try to deal with my one weak stone here. And at the same time, I'm going to be attacking your groups over here. Right? So, again, white's weak groups. This group is no longer, I would say, no longer dead. Now it's back to being really weak. Actually, white seems really strong right now. White did a really good job of defending, actually. Whereas the red group, black's got to look at weaknesses here now, again. Weaknesses here now. You know what? Looking at this, black has a lot more weaknesses to deal with than white does. Just because white played so solid. That is so cool. Right? White's weaknesses aren't even that serious. But black's got some pretty serious threats. And white just really played solid all game, right? He didn't do anything really weird. So, black has to deal with this weak stone again. He's trying to pressure this group and also fix this group. And white's like, I'm just going to defend. I don't know what you want to do. I'm just going to defend. Defending this area down here, supporting this weakness over here, threatening to cut off this group still. So good. Okay. Black is trying to stay flexible because he's got weak groups everywhere. White plays a forcing move to strengthen this even more. And remember what we said about strength, right? If you strengthen this one, you weaken this one, you strengthen this, you weaken this, you strengthen this. It's just the way it flows is so awesome, right? It's just the way strength flows is so cool. Black, of course, defends. Now, white is strong here. He's not afraid of fighting against this wall anymore. Black plays away again, right? And I feel like this game, I mean, he's a 7-dan pro, so I can't really criticize his play. But I feel like, at least watching it from my perspective, white plays so much more solid and has such an easier time with his game than black does. But that's just my analysis, right? Black's kind of like attacking everything, sort of, and white is just defending everything and then letting black create his own weaknesses. White just keeps defending. Isn't that crazy? White just keeps defending. Black has to run out, and white just... He says, you left this weakness here. I had a weakness here, so I'm just gonna start connecting out and keep your groups weak. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's see. Okay, now this move is interesting. What does this move do? It gives these stones a close direction to run to. So if black wants to kill these stones, let's see. Let's draw weaknesses out again. Okay, that's no longer weak. That's kind of weak. That's kind of weak. That's a bit weak. There's some play here. So that's it for white's weak groups. Black's weak groups. You got that. You got that. I'm gonna ignore that one stone because that's kind of like... Is that right? Wow, that's real cool. Oh. And this as well. And then black's got his last area to make points is over there. Wow, that's pretty awesome. So white's move here supports this one, supports this group, aims at this, and also aims at attacking this area, and also aims at this. That's pretty awesome, white's play. So he's defending and attacking everything on the board right now. That's just efficiency. That's some raid boss level play right there. I don't know. That's a 9-dan pro, I guess. So black defends his win condition, right? Or I guess his last remaining bastion of points. White defends it and attacks and threatens to cut. Of course, black has to defend that. White runs out, defending this group again and threatening to shrink this area. Black wants to cut and white won't let him cut. White's just defending, as you can see. No threat there. White's just defending. Now that this group is no longer cuttable, before this group was weak, right? But now that black's strengthened this whole area, there's no more reason for white to leave a potential threat here, so he's just gonna fix it. And he has a potential threat to connect here as well. White's attacking the weak black group. Black has to try to escape. White threatens, and fixes. Threatens to cut. And then defends again. Isn't that awesome? Well, the reason why white can't just break through here is because white is not alive yet. You guys see that? So black still got so the weak group is white's group here is actually still not alive yet. Can I see that? So if white tries to break through, black can still just cap him. You see? Hope you guys can see that. That's why he can't be aggressive and try to poke through. Because if he does... Oops. That's real annoying. Right? Black gets the fix. Black gets to attack the white group. So like, you know, white's got to go and defend again. And let black do whatever he wants. Right? So, doesn't feel good. So white rather attack black back, make black defend. And now white gets to do whatever he wants to do. That's a huge difference. I hope you guys can see that. Right? One side has to defend, whereas on the other sequence, the other side has to defend and get a free, like, that is like night and day difference. White is so good. So, once again, white is still technically not alive, but this move indirectly fixes this, builds the center area for white, and reduces black's top tier area again. Like, white is such a raid boss in this game. Black counterattacks, aiming for the cuts everywhere. That's fine. White's like, I don't care. I am destroying your top area. White is so good. So, weaknesses. Here, potential cut here. Still, this group is kind of weak. Right? For white. This group, you know, could be cut off. But then black, he's got his weaknesses here. He's got this group weakness. And white's looking at all this. Oh yeah, and also he still wants this area. So white answers all of that. White just answers everything by playing here. 9 Dawn Pro, dude. Black tries to cut and white's like, I don't care. Because you had a weak group up there, I'm just gonna attack that and fix my groups at the same time. Black's like, nope. And white just fixes. Doesn't even try to kill, just fixes. Look at this. He's like, you want to save these groups? That's fine. I'm fixing all my weaknesses. I don't care about your weak groups yet. I care more about my weak groups. You see how white plays? Look at this guy. White. Oh my gosh. Black is trying to attack 2 white groups, of course. White's like, nope. Coming out. And white just defends and lives. Make sure his groups are strong. Now that white's got a wall and is about to cut this group off, white's got to make sure he lives here. We mentioned earlier that that was a weak group, so the fighting starts. Again. And, oh yeah, sorry, so, just to give you guys white's weaknesses again. Small weakness here. This group is still a bit weak. This group is now a bit weak. Black. Black has a... Oops. Oh man. So white's weak groups. He's got this one still that he's got to deal with. He's got this one now. And I think that's it. I think he's dealt with all the other weak groups. Whereas black has this dude, this dude, potentially this one. He's got to watch out for getting cut here. So groups running at each other, trying to cut each other off, right? White is frantically trying to make I space here. He's got a Ko to try to force out an I. So this is what's going on in this fight now. Black is white made a misclick, or I made a misclick. So white threatens to connect. White threatens to connect again. White is now cutting off black's groups, and white can connect to like anything. This guy's reading is insane. So now he's threatening to kill these groups or connect out. Like, I think that's game over. White just lives casually. Game over. Black resigns. I think I'm gonna stop here today, but hopefully you guys could see that no matter what level of play you're watching, the pros, even the pros, kind of go through this sequence of, oh, if I'm weak, I defend. If I'm strong, I attack. I try to do multiple things at once, but regardless, it comes down to, if I'm weak, I defend, and then I'll attack afterwards, you know? And as you can see, kind of, in this game, black did a lot more attacking than he did defending, and he just kind of left a lot of weak groups everywhere, and white super took advantage of it, you know? And I'm hoping you guys can take the message that I am trying to give and apply it to your own games, because this stuff works, right? It even works at the pro level. Of course, there's tons of reading backing this stuff up, but you can see at like just a fundamental theoretical level, it works. So anyway, happy Saturday. Thank you so much for watching my video. Like, subscribe, put some comments below, give me any suggestions, or tell me if I got anything wrong, and hopefully I'll see you next week. Bye.